Excuse me, hi, sorry. I've actually got a live show which is about to start. You know, we've got the sign. Did you read the sign? No? No one ever reads the sign.
No. This is our pianist, Nina. You're supposed to play at the end of the show, not the beginning.
Oh, OK, well, in that case, we will see you a bit later on. But until then, I'm Michael.
And I'm Ellie.
And this is Portsmouth. Hello and welcome. We're here live in the University of Portsmouth's Eldon Hub studio, right in the heart of this great island city.
We're a TV show with an aim to keep you up to date with all the latest news, sport and other unique happenings around the city.
Our job today is to bring you some amazing stories, so thanks for tuning in. We've got plenty to cover in this week's show.
Indeed, we have. We'll first discover the charity work done by Net Apparel to support local basketball courts.
We'll then learn a vital skill which could save someone's life as we look at how CPR is given.
We'll be looking into Red Source, a theatre company which provides an acting classes for anyone living with learning difficulties.
And finally, we'll meet one of Portsmouth's great characters, musician and artist Ian Parmenter.
It's sure worth sticking around for. There's some great stories which you just don't want to miss.
Now, in 2016, funding was cut for GB basketball teams. This decision was made shortly after the London 2020 Olympics.
According to a BBC article, it suggested that this decision was made due to poor performance at the Olympic Games.
After hearing about the funding cut and recognising the uncertainty for the future of basketball, Craig Hughes, founder of Net Apparel, set up his very own company in order to support the basketball community.
Let's find out a little more about Net Apparel and how it helps the people of Portsmouth.
I saw it on telly and it was the '94 All-Star game and started to notice more and more products on the high street, you know, basketball trainers, basketball jerseys, and it was at the same time I was getting into hip-hop as well, and everything just kind of fell into place. And I found my first local basketball court, got a ball and just literally just put up shots, and then just from there just never stopped. So it was the late 80s where Portsmouth was one of the top teams in this country, and it was affiliated with the Portsmouth Football Club. It's a big story, but in a nutshell, the funding went to football, so basketball broke away from the Portsmouth Football Club. And since then, we haven't had the same success. However, it's going to be a gradual thing that we can eventually get back to.
This court is beautiful. It's the best court I've ever played on, I would say. I started playing basketball in PE a long time ago, and then I properly fell in love with it outdoors, just on my own, and it went from there to playing for different teams.
So Net Apparel it started off as clothing, so hence apparel, and it was meant to be a way of promoting basketball, and I kind of felt like that was working at the beginning, but as time went on I just thought, well, actually I could do some coaching. I used to play basketball all my life pretty much, got a coaching qualification, so I used Net Apparel to do that as well. Yeah, I used to drive past it and think, oh look, there's hoops in there. I didn't know what it was for years, but then I had to then work out how to get in here. It wasn't too difficult, I just went down Orchard Road. I started speaking to a group called Form and Function. In the end, if I hadn't met them, it would have just been a basketball court surface and probably nothing else. So through them as well, you've got obviously the wall murals, we've got the new walkways around here as well, and we was able to get some help from the council as well to get new fences, additional hoops, and a new entrance as well.
So I've been to a lot of outdoor courts, and it's nice to have ones that, you know, actually have nets for a start and are actually like maintained and upkept.
It was great that through combinating with those guys was able to create some real buzz for basketball in Portsmouth, and I kind of felt like for about 6 months of last year that it was one of the main topics of, you know, discussion in Portsmouth.
I'm from a small little town, and there is absolutely no resources for basketball players at all, pretty much, and to have something like this, it means a lot, because then you can come and practice, you can come play with your friends. It's just nice to have basketball in the community. There are a lot of outdoor courts that are, unlike this one, in a bad state and need nets and the ground to be redone. I think that would be very beneficial for Portsmouth basketball.
When you look at the pecking order in regards to the funding that basketball gets, it's very low down based on if it's the second most popular team sport amongst teenagers and young adults, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. We've got a big queue of people waiting to play basketball. It's got to a point now where we could become quite elite as a country. We need funding for coaches, because you find clubs up and down the country, they're almost run by volunteers, parents and stuff like that. Without those people, they can't really run. If you took away everyone sort of giving up their own time, I don't really know what state basketball would be in.
Basketball is everything. It started off with seeing that ball go through the hoop and then you're addicted, and from there it's just life. I don't know, it's just my life.
Wow, that was one colourful basketball court, wasn't it, Michael?
It really was, and do you know what, I think I'd be quite good at basketball, because I'm quite tall, so.
Just because you're tall doesn't make you a good basketball player, you know that, right?
Well, if you're taller, you're closer to the hoop, so it's easy to get the ball in. It's just a bit logical.
Oh, don't say that. Now I've got no excuse. I reckon I'll still get the ball in the hoop, though.
Well, I think that I could too.
Not on your first try, though.
Is that a challenge?
Only if you make it one.
Okay, right, well, we've got a hoop here, so let's put the hoop here, and we've got the balls in the studio as well, so...
Michael, that's part of the set design.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Let's leave that to the professionals, shall we?
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Okay.
So why don't we find out a little bit more about the sport instead from some of the professionals?
Yes, I think we should. Let's welcome to the studio, Rosalie.
Welcome, come on in. Take a seat. How are you feeling today? You're doing okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Brilliant. Well, Ellie didn't let me play basketball in the studio. Obviously, you're pretty good at it. So can you tell us a little bit about your basketball background and how you came to start playing it?
So I started playing basketball when I was a child. However, I used to dabble in all the different kinds of sports, but naturally gravitated back to basketball. And then I came and joined the team at uni, and it was a bit of a struggle at first, playing from a one-man team to playing with other people. And then eventually I grew within the sport, and then the sport made me grow as a person as well. And then, so tried out for the team, got on the team, and then here I am today.
It's a real journey of it then.
Yeah, it has been.
Absolutely. Do you think that basketball maybe is underfunded, would you say?
I think basketball is greatly underfunded, especially in areas that need it the most, because I found that when I was playing as a child, I used to play on my own and I used to just make do with the court that I had. But then growing up, I got more attracted to the bigger courts, the better looking courts, the ones that had a better net and stuff like that. And it made me interact with people in my community. It made me feel comfortable enough to come to uni and actually try out for the basketball team. So I feel like when it's actually invested into, you can get more people and more interest built, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely. You mentioned the colourful courts and stuff like that. Have you ever played at Orchard Park basketball court?
Yes, I have. I found it really good there. It was really nice because at first, before it actually got renovated, it was an all right court. But then the minute it did, all the basketball players and some from the outside community used to come there and play together. It was a range of ages, from young girls to older people, and we all played as a community, no matter what. Wherever you were from, it was really nice because it felt very inclusive and felt like a family. So
you're a big I was just about to ask, big family group, big team sport. I suppose you meet a lot of new people playing basketball as well.
Yeah. So you said that a basketball court and how it looks is very important to you. Do you think that more charities like Chain Net Apparel should be set it up?
I think definitely, because it's a case of the more opportunities we have to make basketball grow as a sport, the more it will grow as a sport. If we don't give ourselves the opportunity to actually grow, we will never. We want basketball to be played, we want basketball to be as recognised as some of the other sports in the UK. And until we actually sit down and invest time and effort into making the places that need it the most, as well as the places that already do have it, making it better, then I don't think we're going to make that much of a change. So I think with companies like Chain Apparel setting up new, fixing up new courts and stuff, it definitely helps.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the studio today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
We'll have to watch you play soon.
But now on to some life-saving information. According to the British Heart Foundation, about 30,000 cardiac arrests happen outside the hospital every year.
Sadly, according to the British Heart Foundation, fewer than 1 in 10 people survive a cardiac arrest, which has happened outside of a hospital environment.
Emergency first aid training, particularly CPR, gives everyone the potential to help save lives.
It's such an important life skill to learn.
And this kind of information may save someone's life. So let's hear what paramedic Rob Isherwood and nurse Charlie Morgan have to say.
I was short of breath, just felt unwell, but not enough for a quick ambulance to be called for him. I came back from the kitchen with his medication and he was slumped on the sofa. I was a bit shocked because he was just talking to me, and then I was like, oh no. Panic sets in like quite fast, and straight away you check, are they breathing? Do they have a pulse? And he was not breathing and did not have a pulse. And then I was calling back to my office to get them to call 999 because I could not really talk and do CPR at the same time.
We know that the city of Portsmouth is quite a deprived city, and we are part of an area where there's got some real problems with public health. And we know that if we address the cardiac arrest stuff, then actually we can make a big dent in people's public health generally, and we can make improvements for the city.
I feel like you literally could teach it in a day, in a PE lesson, anything like that. It does not take long to learn.
We have got used to being able to call 999 and phoning for an ambulance and getting it reasonably quickly. That's changing because of the demand that's been put on the healthcare system at the moment.
I think they're really trying to avoid people going to hospitals because they're just so understaffed, underpaid. The hospital can't deal with it.
The NHS, as we know, is overwhelmed constantly by people because they're not really sure how to access, where to access, what to do in emergencies.
I feel like my job is made to deal with the effects of that because obviously we're taking from the ambulance service the ones that would be waiting 15, 16 hours because they're not classed as high risk.
If we can take local steps in our communities to try and increase that knowledge about what to do, who to speak to, how to get help, then actually we can make a wider impact on the wider kind of NHS burden that's going on at the moment. First off is gently tilt her head back and open her airway to see what's going on, to see if she's breathing or not. So once we've done that for 10 seconds and we've established that they're not breathing, that's when we definitely, if we haven't done so already, phone an ambulance. They will talk you through what you need to do next. So even if you forget everything else, if you dial 999, get help, they will talk you through and remind you what you need to do next. If the patient isn't breathing, then we assume that they don't have a heartbeat either. What Emma's going to do for the patient now, she's going to bring that part of her hand back onto the breastbone or the sternum in the centre of the chest, just in line with the armpits there. Now she's going to grasp her other hand firmly into that, and now she's going to come over the patient and she's going to push firmly and deeply. Now we just carry on doing that. We don't do anything else. So Emma's going to press hard and fast. She's going to try and keep it at a rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute. It's not going to replace the work of the heart, but it's going to do some work at keeping the heart muscle oxygenated enough that it's going to be able to restart once someone comes along and brings a defibrillator with them. This is really important, and I'm passionate about trying to teach everybody in the city of Portsmouth how to do CPR and how to use a defibrillator.
When you ring 999, they tell you where the nearest defib is, and they're everywhere.
The most important thing you can do is to recognise, summon help, start doing some chest compressions, and then get a defibrillator early if you possibly can.
Well, we hope that this can save some lives.
Yes, but please remember, this is an informational video to raise awareness for the matter, and it is not a substitute for medical advice.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do have to say, Ellie, I do agree with Charlie. I think it is really important that this sort of information is taught in schools.
Absolutely, so do I. You could save someone's life just from knowing and understanding how to do CPR.
Definitely. And did you know that defibrillators can now be found in all sorts of places? Behind us is a map with all the locations around Portsmouth.
I've seen many of the old telephone boxes have now become defibrillator stations.
Yeah, so have I, and they're often also found in places like shops, libraries, sports centres, community centres, and all around the town, really.
If you want to find more information and detail on where you can find a defibrillator or more information about giving CPR, please visit the British Heart Foundation website on www.bhf.org.uk.
Now it's time to take a look at the importance of making acting accessible for everyone.
The Theatre Royal Company, by the name of Red Sauce, provides a safe environment for people with learning difficulties to learn to act.
This acting company, run by Rachel Goodall, allows for individuals with learning difficulties to be able to express themselves creatively through acting.
Let's take a look at how beneficial this is to the local community.
My name is Rachel Goodall and I run the Red Sauce Theatre Company. It started off in 2019. I got some funding from the D-Day Museum and it was to work with an inclusive cast. We do a lot of productions and the Inclusive Theatre Company will support the professional performers and the other way round. It's amazing for me because the actors in the Inclusive Theatre Company can just like look and have that amazing experience of just actually watching the actors and working alongside them and just enjoying acting, and that's how they are learning. It's wonderful that they are not limiting themselves.
Well, I get a lot of enjoyment and also good company, and it's a very educational as well.
We do drama and I like the shows.
You like doing the big shows?
Yeah.
I have seen them develop from very early stages of just performing in front of family and friends and to now they will just perform in front of the public. I think they see that now as achievable. There were people who put down their love of the performing arts as how they actually live their lives. That's how important it was to them. That's their one thing that gets them through their life.
I like about drama club is doing the scenes I like to do.
To meet different people. Well, you know, we don't want to be inside and we want to go out and enjoy ourselves.
Because they're a lovely group. They're all nice people.
I don't understand why sometimes we group people together. We are one human race and it just makes sense to me as a person that you would just have one theatre group, no matter what ability you are or whatever gender you are, just come along and join the group and then that's it, because that's what we are in real life. I feel like in a like normal drama group, it's a little bit about like me and I'm going to sing and I'm going to dance and I'm going to take centre stage now, whereas with this group it tends to be about them as a group and each other.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise we were back. Finished anyway, so that's fine, we can carry on.
Our set designer's going to get fed up with you. Anyways, what an amazing cast. They really do make it inclusive for everyone, don't they?
It really is. And did you know they have 2 shows, one in the summer and one at the end of the year for Christmas?
Amazing. The drama club is for anyone aged 16 or over with learning difficulties, including autism and Down syndrome.
And the best thing is you don't need any acting or theatre experience. The classes are open to everyone.
Amazing. If you know of anyone who may be interested in joining the acting classes, you can find more information via our Instagram at ThisIsPortsmouthTV.
Now it's time to discover what else has been going on in Portsmouth this week.
There's so much more going on within the city away from the great stories we've already heard today.
There's always something interesting going on, whether it's events for you to get to or current news stories, some of which you might not have even heard of yet.
So, what else is going on in Portsmouth, Michael?
One huge talking point around the city currently is Portsmouth Football Club midfielder Joe Morrell, who was called up for the Welsh national team to feature in this winter's FIFA World Cup. With Joe being the first Pompey player since 2010 to be called up for a World Cup tournament, it's got Blues fans very excited to see him on the big stage.
RSS Sir David Attenborough, also known as Boaty McBoatface, docked in Portsmouth ahead of his trip to the Antarctic. The £200 million polar research vessel is making another trip to research the threat of future sea level rise and impacts on marine biodiversity. With Portsmouth having one of the most important naval bases in the UK, it was suitable to pick up necessary supplies there.
And if you haven't already heard, Christmas is on the way, and so are the annual light switch-ons, the closest one being towards the north of Portsmouth in Cosham. This switch-on takes place on Thursday the 1st of December, and it is a great family-friendly event to get you all in the festive spirit.
It's time to get your skates on as Portsmouth on Ice returns. Once again, the ice rink has appeared in the Guildhall Square for the Christmas season, and you can get down there on the ice every day up until the 8th of January. It's another way to be a part of some of the many festives taking place around the city on the lead up to Christmas.
Now it's time to meet Ian Parmiter, also known as Lord Sonic, former guitarist from the band Empty Fish.
In 2012, Ian was sadly diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Parkinson's is a condition which affects the brain. It causes tremors and makes muscles inflexible.
Due to his diagnosis, Ian was unfortunately unable to continue his career as a musician and instead found his love for art.
Ian wants to show that a chronic illness is not the end of your life, but more so a new beginning.
Let's find out more about Ian and his artwork.
Hands are terrible. Just the thought of, like when you play a chord, you're using this hand to go down, this hand you're pushing 3 fingers against the fret. So it's a lot of different movements for the brain to work out at the same time. I think that one way that partly saved me because the music, because when I first got Parkinson's, my hands completely clammed up and I couldn't move them. You know, I'm still like that occasionally. This picture, that's when I got diagnosed with Parkinson's, you could say. And that's the darkness that was around from that. That's me looking forward to the light, because I felt like I was coming out of it. And that's me trying to look strong. Just show me how you have to pull yourself, put all your strength into your body and just go forward. So what I do is I try and visualise a line. And if when I'm running out of pills, I'm dropping off that side of the line. And when I just take my pills, you go over that side of the line. You just got to try and drag your mind back and find the point of balance. So again, it's like my notch sculptures. You find it's all different ways of explaining that. Drill the piece of wood first because it gives it more strength. If you drill a small piece like that, it will split. So you drill it when it's in the line still. I love it. Listen to the birds and foxes and squirrels. They're all here. I paint on the floor usually, like there or here, in there under the rosemary bush up the garden. Sonic here, Sonic. I mean, it's always been my nickname for years. And then I was Ian Sonic in the band. And then later on I called myself Lord Sonic because I thought I deserved a title. But, well, that's called Big Balls. It's almost like I've rebuilt my body because it's all, nothing's measured. So I literally cut them on the bandsaw by eye. And then put them together how I think they look best, you know. When I build one of these, I'm almost rebuilding my own body. So when I've built it, I look away and think, I've got that image that I've rebuilt myself, which I think is an important thought, you know, because then you feel like you're complete again, rather than broken.
Well, what an inspiration he is.
Absolutely. His art was absolutely amazing. You can really see how he's using his art to express his feelings and resemble his diagnosis.
No, absolutely. And we're lucky enough to have some of his artwork here in the studios today. I've got this blue one to my left, and we've been told that the blue actually represents the time of day. And a fun fact about Ian is that he often goes for a lot of sunrise swimming, which is probably what he's trying to get across here with the sun. And one thing that I didn't notice at first was this sort of figure here. He's highlighted the brain and the heart, which shows sort of the positive feelings and the mindfulness behind this particular painting. But you can really see he's got like a great use of colours, and just shows that anyone is capable of doing anything.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Indeed, very interesting. See, I've got one of his most famous paintings actually. It's this one, and the whole painting describes how he felt in the moment. It's very abstract, but you can slightly see how this looks like a face when it's turned sideways. It's just great. Ian clearly uses his art to express his feelings and his diagnosis.
Quite bold colours used in
so
both as well, so they
yeah.
are really amazing
Red,
pieces.
And there's some black as well, yeah.
But what an
Yellow.
incredible gentleman he is. He's such an inspiration to all, as
Absolutely. If there's one thing you can take away from this, is even in, it should be that even in a bad situation, there's always a positive side, even if you can't quite see it yet.
Absolutely. Everything definitely happens for a reason. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for today.
What a jam-packed show we've had. We've discovered the amazing chain Net Apparel company and how it supports the local community.
We've also learned valuable information about the importance of CPR.
We've enjoyed meeting the team from Red Source Theatre Productions.
And we've had the amazing opportunity to learn more about Ian Parmiter and his inspiring journey.
So many great stories, isn't it? There's always so much going on around in Portsmouth.
There is indeed, so tune in next week for more up-to-date, new and exciting stories from the happenings in Portsmouth. Can someone tell the pianist it's finally their cue, because I'm Michael.
And I'm Ellie.
And this is Portsmouth.